Okay, so ever since Wooting came on the scene a couple years ago, it feels like everybody has been trying to get on the Hall effect bandwagon, and for good reason. They offer a lot of key benefits that can genuinely give you an advantage, and we'll get to all those in a little bit, but the reason I'm bringing all this up is Lemokey just sent me their brand new L5 HE 8K to test out for a video, and so far I've been really impressed. Also, if you haven't heard of Lemokey, they're a sub-brand under Keychron that's more gaming focused, hence this guy right here. This is the Dawn Master colorway of the L5, and just right off the bat, I love the way that this thing looks. It's a nice 75% layout with the majority of the keyboard being this subtle cream slash bone color with some very tasteful accents here and there. They also have two other colorways, but I'm glad they sent this one over because it's definitely my favorite. But the main headlining feature of this board is of course those Hall effect switches. So basically, if you don't already know what those are, as opposed to a regular mechanical switch that basically has two positions either on or off, these Hall effect switches can use magnets to tell you exactly how far into a keystroke you are. And the L5 in particular has a sensitivity of 1/100th of a millimeter, essentially turning this from digital to analog. And there's some really cool stuff that can enable. For one, you can set the actuation point of each switch to your desired depth. So if you want the keyboard to feel more responsive, for example, you can set the actuation point to be very close to the top of the keystroke. And if you think about it, that's pretty crazy because if you and your opponent were to press a key at the same time, your input would go through first because the actuation point is higher in the keystroke, while his finger would need to go all the way to the bottom. You also get a feature called dynamic rapid triggering that allows you to repeatedly press a key much faster than would otherwise be possible by dynamically changing the reset point of the switch. And that basically means that instead of having to press a key all the way down and then release it all the way back up before being able to activate that key again, the keyboard will reset the switch as soon as it detects any upward movement. And that effectively will minimize the travel distance and allow you to press that key a lot faster. You can also bind up to 4 actions on a single key based on how deep you press. This to me feels particularly useful for open world games where sprinting is often bound to the left shift button, and I just find it really awkward to position my pinky there for long periods of time, but now I can just make it so that a light press is walking, and then as I press deeper, it transitions from jogging to running to sprinting. Not game breaking or anything, but definitely a nice quality of life improvement. Similarly, racing games have always been kind of rough on keyboard and mouse because it's really hard to get those really fine level adjustments when you're steering and accelerating because you're either all the way on throttle or not at all. But now with the Hall effect switches, you can adjust the degree of acceleration or braking the same way that you could on a controller joystick. Granted, I do think a controller is a better experience overall for those kinds of games, but now it's just less of a necessity. And of course, all those features aren't going to make a bad gamer good, but it will give you an edge against similarly skilled opponents who don't have these features. So going along with all that, this also has an 8,000 Hz polling rate, meaning it updates the computer on what inputs are made 8,000 times per second with a 0.14 millisecond latency. That's among the best in the industry right now. And just to put that into perspective, the average human reaction time is about 150 milliseconds. So it's about 1,000 times faster than the average human. And all that is to say that you can rest assured that this won't be holding you back. Now, that being said, most of the features I just mentioned are available on most other Hall effect boards, but what I feel like really sets this board apart from most of the other ones I've tried is the build quality and typing feel of the board. Keychron has been making mechanical keyboards for a long time now, and they've brought a lot of that expertise and enthusiast features and put it into a gaming board. And I'm really happy about that because whenever we looked at a keyboard, I always had to say, hey, these things are way nicer than those gaming keyboards, but they're missing a lot of those gaming centric features that a lot of people are looking for. But now with this, it feels like much less of a compromise. For starters, we've got a full powder coated CNC aluminum case that makes it one of the heaviest boards that I've felt in a while, and really just gives it that premium feel. Like even the knob is made out of metal and has that cool to the touch feel that I really love. On the back, we have this nice LED light strip that goes all the way around and is nicely diffused so you can't make out the individual LEDs. Notably missing on here though are feet for adjusting the typing angle. I personally find it pretty comfortable just in the way that it comes, but if you often find yourself needing to adjust those on other boards, that may be a deal breaker for you. The stabilizers are pre-lubed, which is nice, but there were the one thing on this board that I'm not really a huge fan of. Now this may just be a fluke with my unit, but I think they're a little bit over lubed and they tend to get stuck at the bottom of the keystroke. This will be really hard to show on video, so you'll just kind of have to take my word for it, but the key will stay stuck at the bottom for like a split second too long and it feels really weird. And what's worse is that I also noticed that if you hit the spacebar kind of hard, it'll vibrate at the top a little bit. And normally that wouldn't really cause any issues. But if you take advantage of the Hall effect switches and have your actuation point right at the top, each of those vibrations will register as a keystroke. Now, this problem is pretty easily fixed even for a total beginner, but for someone looking to buy a pre-built, it's usually because they don't want to have to mess with it. So it would be nice if it was tuned a little bit better out of the box. If you do want to get into modding though, this board does have a switchable plate mount. Stock, it comes gasket mounted, but if you don't like that, you can switch it to a top mount. As far as other modifications go, there isn't really much that you would need to do. They've already got this thing stuffed full of foam to eliminate vibrations, and I think it sounds pretty good already, but I know you guys want to hear it for yourself, so here it is. So yeah, that's how it sounds. Again, I think the stabilizers could definitely use some tuning, but other than that, I think it's pretty sick. So if this seems like something you'd want to pick up for yourself, I'll have a link in the description to their Kickstarter. I think right now you can get it for $199 and it'll be $209 after launch, so you can save yourself 10 bucks. But that's it for this one. Thanks so much for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.